It is finally here, March Madness. The brackets are out. Brett, you and I are going to be running a little bit of a bracket pool. We'll have the link for you in our social media. But this is episode 124 of The Next Best Bet. I'm Jake Higgins with Brett Levy, as always. Looking back at last episode, Brett, I'm catching up to you in the pick of the pod Levy lock race. You have a one-pick lead on me. You're 9-11. I'm 8-12. We each went 3-2 though last week.
We did. We had a good week, Higgins. Although my Chicago Bulls came out and laid a little bit of an egg there. That was a disappointing effort coming out of All-Star break. No All-Stars out there for the Celtics, and they kind of got blown out, Higgins. So, a little disappointment, but overall, really good week, 3-2. And I mentioned the Georgetown Hoyas on that last podcast. Now they're Big East champions. So not only can I inspire Syracuse, but I can inspire our rivals as well, Higgins.
It'll be very interesting to see, and we'll get into the bracket a little bit more in a little bit. Let's jump to Beginners Boulevard, though, and talk about the exotic betting options beyond the point spread, money line, over-under. Now, this is prop bets, future bets, parlays, things of that nature, and there's plenty of these types of exotic bets that you could do with March Madness, right, Brett?
Yeah, I know one that caught your eye, Higgins. Will a 12 seed advance past a 5 seed? Yes, minus 370. No, plus 290. So if you think all 5 seeds will win, Higgins, you get plus 290 odds.
I'm not sure if this feels like a year of chalk. We'll have to see how our brackets fill out. Like I mentioned, you and I are going to be running a bracket pool, so that'll be interesting. I kind of tend to the heavy favorite there, I think, though, of a 12 seed and a 5. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't bet that, but yeah, that's where I'd lean for sure.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the madness, though, Brett, because it's all happening in Indianapolis, Indiana. We've already had refs that have been sent home because they went out to dinner while they were waiting for their hotel or something, and they had to be shipped home. All had positive tests. So now we have new ones. We have teams on standby. Brett, this is madness, right?
And this is the definition of madness, Higgins. I agree. I also kind of think it's funny that they still kept the brackets as the north, south, east, and west. Like, why not just do it like this is brackets playing in this stadium or this brackets playing in this. Like, it seems silly to label it the South. Like, you're all in Indianapolis. So yeah, lots of craziness, Higgins.
Yeah, let's get into that Midwest bracket, though. I mean, Syracuse, where you and I are both from, they're in that bracket. They're not the only orange team, though. 6 of the 16 teams in that bracket are orange. So I want to look for a prop bet of the odds of an orange team coming out of that bracket. I mean, Illinois is the number 1 seed, so it's probably heavy favorite that an orange is coming out, but will it be Illinois or one of the other 5?
It could definitely be any of them. I mean, Syracuse is playing really well. Buddy Boeheim looked unstoppable in the ACC tournament. Oklahoma State, again, another team that's very hot with an elite prospect in Cade Cunningham, and some good talent around him. Oregon State just won the Pac-12 championship, Higgins, and obviously you mentioned Illinois. So there's a lot of talent in this conference, or
Yeah,
in this bracket.
that
Sorry.
Pac-12 championship, that you mentioned, by the way, that was against Colorado, who last episode you were talking up, and they did go on their run. Oregon State, though, a number 12 seed, I believe, in that bracket, and should be interesting to see, I believe, against Tennessee in the opening round, though. So an orange versus an orange right there, already going to have to cut it down to, at most, 5 coming out of the first round.
Nah, that you hate to see that, but I guess it's expected when 6 teams are all wearing orange in the same bracket there.
Let's talk about futures, though, Brett, because there are a few outright winners bets that you and I are going to find ourselves on. I mean, Syracuse plus 15,000. Like I said, you and I
Let's
both went there.
go.
That
Let's
those
go.
odds, that's a dollar bet. That's a dollar bet. $1 wins 150. Absolutely. Put a dollar on it.
I'm in too, Higgins. I'm in for a dollar. The Cuse, we're a freight train. We can't be stopped. We're not even in the first four. We're so good that they put us in the big dance right away. They said we need this team. We can't live without them. And the Cuse is gonna roll easy. Easy path to the final four.
Absolutely. But you also are interested in another orange team just in case Syracuse doesn't pull it off.
Yeah, exactly. You got to hedge a little bit, Higgins, right?
Absolutely.
but
Absolutely.
yeah, I mean, you mentioned Colorado. I actually really like Colorado for the tournament because of their senior, upperclassman guard Trey McKinley. Uh, but another team that's playing really well right now, Higgins, is Texas, and Texas also has an upperclassman guard, a very highly rated upperclassman guard coming out of high school and into college, and he's had a little bit of an up and down career at Texas. I'm referring to Matt Coleman. But that's a guy who's playing great basketball right now. Texas has a lot of talent in the front court as well. Andrew Jones is back and healthy, another former top 50 recruit. I think Texas is talented. I think they have upperclassmen Higgins, and they have Shaka Smart as their coach, a coach that has been to Final Fours. Texas at plus 4,500 here. I think that's worth half a unit for me, Higgins. So I'm going to take Texas outright. They're not who I'm really picking to win the tournament. In my bracket challenge, I'll have Gonzaga. But I think those odds for what the team is, I think the team has a better chance of winning a random one-off game against Gonzaga than plus 4,500.
Spoiler alert, by the way, on your bracket, we have a Gonzaga winner. I'm still picking mine out. You're going to have to check out that link to find out who I have to win my bracket, though. Brett, you spoke of those first in games. Those are on Thursday, so you and I decided to give out some picks for those Thursday night games. There's four of them, one of which is a really high profile game. UCLA versus Michigan State. I mean, these are two teams that are very familiar with the dance, but not in the play-in unconventional way that has recently come up over the years.
Yeah, normally you see this matchup in the final four, Higgins, not the first four, but we get it early this year. UCLA started off the year really well and faded quickly. Michigan State, kind of the opposite, did not start very well and kind of got hot later in the season. So we'll see what this game, looks like coming here. I would lean Michigan State, and I'd probably take the winner of this game to win the next matchup. I think it's an 11-6, so I would probably take them
Yep.
to beat whatever that 6 seed is, just because we've seen these teams come out of the first four, Higgins, and keep that momentum rolling through the first weekend.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure who's going to win that game for me, so I'm going to stay away from it right now. But an interesting note is the last time there was March Madness, Michigan State was in the Final Four. So Tom Izzo's experience, some of the upperclassmen on that team's experience, maybe helps them in this situation, but who knows? UCLA versus Michigan State, that's obviously going to have everyone's attention into this the night before everything really kicks off because Friday is going to be an absolute insane day of a lot of games. I mean, it's everyone loves it. It's Friday this time too. Typically, it's on a Tuesday, right, Brett?
Yeah, no, it's the whole thing's a little weird. So normally we have Tuesday and Wednesday night, the first four split up. You have one of the 11 games, one of the 16 games, and on the second night, and then the tournament's Thursday, Friday. This year, Higgins, they're playing all the first four games on Thursday, and then the tournament, the quote unquote second round or whatever it is now, but the first round is on Friday, and it'll be a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday type of deal. So Definitely a little different. The whole thing, one city. The dates are a little different. The four standby teams are a little different. So we're gonna hold off on making most of our picks till the Thursday night episode. But I do have one pick I want to get in there, Higgins, for
We
Thursday's
each do.
games. We
We
each
each
do,
do.
and it's the same game. So let's get our boxing gloves on. Wichita State takes on Drake. A big game for the Kansas Iowa folk, but a big game for you and I as well, Higgins. I am riding Wichita State minus 1.5. I personally believe Wichita State showed they're better than a first four team this year. And I understand Drake had a great year. We're one of the last undefeated teams in the country, obviously Gonzaga being the last, but Drake was there for a while. Really great team against the spread as well, Higgins. But I think they're playing a team from a conference that's bigger that can recruit some better talent, and I think Wichita State is going to be motivated with all the offseason turmoil. Coach Brown is finally the full time coach there, so the little excitement to play for their new coach. He got the interim tag removed, and we'll see what happens here. But I like Wichita State. I know you're on the other side, though.
Yes, I'm on Drake plus 1.5. I mean, second best in the nation against the spread this season behind Navy. Drake fantastic against the spread this year, and I think they're going to just carry that in, even though they did lose their conference tournament game against Loyola Chicago. I expect them to bounce back, refocus against a Wichita State team that you talked about had some turmoil, had some different distractions beyond COVID even. It's a very strange year for the Wichita State program compared to their typical entry into the dance, even though that team is seasoned as a mid-major going to March Madness. I'm going with Drake, who has a very strong team this year, is going to put down their cards, and like you mentioned with the other 11 seed, I wouldn't be surprised if the winner of this game could potentially come out on top in their next game too.
Yeah, it's definitely something I look for as well, Higgins. The team's carrying the momentum. And I think everything you said about Drake is fair. But they gotta fight up a weight class in this one, and that's what I'm leaning on here.
Well, the winner of this game would face USC in the quote unquote second round. No, it's actually called the first round again still,
Oh,
Brett. So
okay. They
let's
they
chill out
fixed
still.
it.
They
Thank
did
God.
fix it.
Thank God.
But Syracuse also an 11 seed. So how many 11 seeds are we picking to go forward here?
Cues.
Cuse.
Cues.
Michigan State UCLA, by the way, the winner of that faces BYU.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, it's a lot of good matchups this year, Higgins. I think they put a lot of TV matchups together. People were talking about that with the Loyola Chicago being an 8 seed. Many people felt that that wasn't right, but if you look at TV, there's going to be a lot of interest in Chicago when Loyola Chicago faces Illinois in the second round potentially. So, I think there's a reason some of these teams are put where they're put, and it'll be an entertaining tournament. I can't wait.
Absolutely. Should be fantastic. Let's get into the NBA, though. Talk about the Tuesday plays that we actually have, because we have some NBA and NHL plays. Our NBA plays, some interesting games, Brett, and I want to start with the late night game, the Timberwolves at the Lakers, because the Timberwolves, since the All Star break, have covered all three of their games. And the Lakers are a team that gets heavily favored by the books typically. 9 is just a really high number. Wouldn't be surprised if in the morning by the time people are listening to this, that it is a double digit game. But the Lakers are playing at Golden State on Monday night, so depending on how that game goes, depending on how the travel back goes, the rest and everything, I'll take the team that's already there. Minnesota not playing on Monday, probably getting to Los Angeles while that team's on the road. So +9, they don't have to win, they just don't have to lose by a lot.
Right. I mean, Anthony Edwards looked great in the Timberwolves' last game. He really exploded for 30 plus points, and I think they actually got the dub in that one too, Higgins. So, great game for the Timberwolves in their last one out. Maybe they can carry that momentum and, lose by a little bit here to the Lakers. I don't think they have enough to win though.
Yeah, they won by 2 over Portland in their back-to-back with the Trailblazers. And then their first game back from the All-Star break, they beat the Pelicans in New Orleans. So who's to say how the post All-Star break Timberwolves start off? It's already 2 for 1 for a team that was only 7-29 going into the All-Star break.
Yeah, well, another team that's been really hot since they made the coaching change as well, Higgins, the Atlanta Hawks. Nate McMillan has not lost as head coach of the Atlanta Hawks. He is a perfect 5-0, and the Hawks take on the Rockets on Tuesday night. Hawks 7.5 point favorites. Higgins, you could have made this line 15. I would have taken Atlanta. So I am taking it at 7.5, and I am running out to the bank.
Now, I have one contrarian reason why I am putting half a unit on the Houston Rockets money line, even though if the value was better, I might put a full unit on it, but it's only at plus 265 as of Monday night at least. But the Rockets have lost 16 straight. The franchise record is from the San Diego Rockets, who lost 17 straight.
Uh-oh. You don't want to go in the history books.
Not in that way. Not in that way. So there's a little bit more of a pregame speech that you can give in that scenario. Maybe get the guys a little riled up. Who knows? I mean, I'm not overly confident. That's why it's a half play, but it's a plus value play of plus 265. And who knows? 16 games in a row have already been lost. Can it be 17? The odds, the odds at this point say probably, according to the books. I'm going against it.
The odds say probably. I think it could. I think it could get ugly, Higgins. I'm gonna be honest with you. I would have taken Atlanta if they threw this line out there at even 12, 13. I mean 14, 15. I really would have been pushing it, but Atlanta is playing really good right now. Houston is not, and Houston needs to figure some stuff out, I think, moving forward. I mean, they're clearly in this for the long haul, not this year. Acquiring all these draft picks and, possibly moving Oladipo after just acquiring him. So we'll see what Houston looks like in a few years. They will not be judged just on this year, but right now I would pretty much auto fade Houston.
I understand that, and I nearly took the Hawks minus 7.5 until I found that nugget that
It's a
swung
good
me the other
nugget.
way.
It's a good nugget. It's a fun. It's really what it is. It's a fun fact, I think. But I think it's fair, Higgins. You do not want to go into the history books as the longest loser, or the biggest losers in your franchise's history.
Well, and do you want to know who was on that San Diego Rockets team that lost 17 straight?
I couldn't
Their
even guess.
their first round draft pick was Pat Riley.
Wow. Okay. There you go. That is a fun fact. Let me tell you.
That is a fun fact.
But I got one more
Yes.
game I want to talk about, Higgins, before we bore people to death talking about the San Diego Clippers. The Utah Jazz and the Celtics square off on Tuesday night. And really quick, I think this is going to be a crazy week for Brad Stevens. Indiana, the Hoosiers, fired their basketball coach this week, Higgins. Brad Stevens, he's on a little bit of the hot seat in Boston. I think there might be a plane flying from Indiana to Boston at some point this week. I don't know if Brad's going to get on that plane, but I think someone's going to do some due diligence and see if they can sway a coach. So that coach may have a big interview coming up this week. He may have some people blowing up his phone. Utah is a great team coming into town. They're one of the best teams in the NBA against the spread, Higgins. I'm taking Utah in this one. I just think this is going to be a rough week for Boston. There's going to be a lot of people asking a lot of questions that have nothing to do about basketball and all about his job. And, that can be a little bit much to deal with when you're facing one of the best teams in the NBA.
Lots of headaches, lots of distractions, and the Jazz are no longer the best. They're the second best team in the NBA against the spread, but still practically lethal in the books.
Yeah, they're a good bet this year. Just anyone first time listeners, the Jazz are a good bet this year.
Let's move on to some money line magic, though, Brett, because this is a guy that we have talked about a few times, not just for his offensive ability, but for his defensive ability as well. Jimmy Butler against the Magic on Sunday night had 5 steals, Brett, and one of them would be very important, and we're going to get to it in a little bit, but this fourth quarter was madness. The two teams traded leads 5 times before Jimmy Butler started off a 7-0 run for the Heat to really stretch out the lead to where the Heat were able to get the victory almost.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it. Jimmy Butler was incredible down the stretch in this one, Higgins. And this is the guy that showed up in the playoffs for Miami last year and helped carry them to the finals. So, if this is what we have to look forward to, I'm excited to watch the Heat in the second half.
And it was still a one possession game, though, in the closing seconds as the Magic brought the game back from this 6 point lead that the Heat stretched out late. And Jimmy Butler got his 5th steal from our boy, Michael Carter Williams, the Syracuse former point guard. Butler had 5 steals on the night, like I mentioned. That one he takes to the house. 4 seconds left, puts up the layup to make it a 5 point game, and the Heat win 102 to 97. Miami is just 4-10 this season without Jimmy Butler on the court.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it, Higgins, and they won this one without Adebayo, so like he's the difference maker. When he is playing well, he makes things happen. You kept mentioning the defense, Higgins. I love that because he's a true two-way player. It's not all about putting the ball in the bucket for Jimmy Butler. He wants to get his teammates involved. He doesn't mind rebounding. He doesn't mind defending. So his value is hard to see always in the box score because sometimes it's playing great defense, sometimes it's getting 5 steals, and you can see that in the steals column. But just contesting shots or tip balls, those don't always show up in the box score.
Tyler Harrow off the bench, by the way, 22 points, 4 for 8 from beyond the arc. One of those was during that 7 point stretch that the Heat went on late. So a very timely late game 3 by Tyler. So very impressive. Today's podcast is presented by Podco. Podgo is the easiest way for you to monetize your podcasts, providing podcasters with a flat rate for ad space so you always know how much you get when you include an ad from Podgo. Apply today to become a member and immediately be connected with advertisers that fit your audience. That's podgo.co at podgo.co, and be sure to add our podcast, The Next Best Bet, in the How Did You Hear About Podgo section of the application. Now into the NHL, Brett, we have an interesting lineup on Tuesday night. We already have a lot of the lines, though, by Monday. 5 to talk about, and you and I found ourselves on 3 of them.
Yeah, we did, Higgins. Lots of fun games. You found yourself on the opposite side of a bet I've taken a lot, so I want to talk about that. Hurricane Red Wings, Higgins. I've taken the Hurricanes -1.5 a few times in this matchup. So I'm curious when I see you on the Detroit side at plus 1.5 goals.
Yes, so the Red Wings against the spread at home are 11-4. And the Carolina Hurricanes, let me find it for you. I had to look down a little bit because they're not as strong against the spread, Brett. They're 11-15 overall. They're 4-11 on the road against the spread. So
Okay.
I'm getting a goal and a half, minus 130. Not great value. I'm not loving it, but like I mentioned a few podcasts ago, the home dog is winning 2 of every 3 against the spread on the puck line. So Detroit plus 1.5. I've said it a lot. The Red Wings have had to prove it to me, and I'm looking at the numbers and I'm ignoring my prejudices here against the Red Wings here and looking at the numbers. They've proved it to me in the analytics. So let's try it. Let's
All
try it.
right.
Detroit, you get one chance. You get one chance.
All right. Higgins bets on the Red Wings. We'll see how this one goes.
By the way, one last little factoid. The last time and only other time Detroit played back to back against the Hurricanes, they got a win in the second matchup. A 4-2 win.
All right.
So we'll
Fair
see.
enough. Fair enough, Higgins. I can't say you didn't lay out good reasons for taking Detroit. I just, and I'm not on this game, so who am I? But I would lean Carolina with the plus 110 at the minus goal and a half on the puck line. But again, I'm not on it. You are. I'm full in Detroit fan tomorrow on Tuesday night with you, Higgins. So go Red Wings. Let's get some octopus to throw on the ice and, get this thing a dub.
Everybody gets one.
Everyone gets one.
Detroit, this is your one. If you win, you get another second one.
Exactly. But Higgins, I'm gonna ride a bit of a trend as well. The Islanders are red hot, Higgins. I want to say they've won 9 in a row. And they'll play the Capitals on Tuesday night, and I saw that they have plus odds on the money line for a team that's won 9 straight. I'm not gonna bet against them now. Islanders plus 102 on the money line at Washington.
Okay, the Islanders have won 9 straight. Yep, that is 9 straight. 2 of which were shootouts. But other than that, they have ran through a lot of teams. Now, the Islanders against the Capitals, though, the Capitals have won both of those games. Also, we're in Washington, like this game is. So, can the Islanders break that streak on the road?
That's what I'm betting on, Higgins. And I mean, the books will tell you that they know that the Washington Capitals have had the Islanders number this year, but clearly they believe in the Islanders' hot streak a little bit because that is a tight line at plus 102 and minus 120. But I like the plus odds anytime you're getting a team as hot as the Islanders.
Some very tight odds right there. Now, I like to look at the puck line typically, and that game has a juicy puck line of if Washington were to potentially get an empty netter late if they won, plus 240 for a minus 1.5. But you look at the money line and you understand why. But
Yeah. Exactly. This one's going to be a close game. Honestly, it'll be great to watch even if you're not betting on it. Like, if you're just a hockey fan, these are two fun teams playing really well.
yeah, there is one other game that I do want to get on though, Brett, and it's the Arizona Coyotes versus the Minnesota Wild. And I'm gonna be taking the Wild minus 1.5 here. And it's because the Wild have consistently beat the Coyotes, and the past 2 games have played the Coyotes and beat them by 4 goals and 3 goals respectively. So I expect it to happen again. Wild are in a much better position in their division right now, trying to create some separation. Got to get these wins against the Coyotes, potentially get the sweep here. I am going to take them minus 1.5 at plus 120.
Fair enough. I got to admit when I do not know enough to comment on this, and Coyotes Wild might be where I have to draw the line, Higgins. I do not know anything about these two teams. I have not watched a single minute of Coyotes or Wild hockey this year. So just being completely honest, right? I have no sense on this game whatsoever. I think you laid out some great points, and I might use that information myself, and maybe I'll place a bet. Maybe I'll hold on to my money and just watch and see what happens and be like, huh, I should tail Higgins next time because when he sounds smart, it works out.
The Wild are also 8-4 against the spread at home. The Coyotes 6-5 on the road against the spread. So it'll be interesting to see. I like it though. I like the Wild at home. They've been playing well recently. Before we get out of here though, Brett, the Levy Lock pick of the pod. I told you at the top of the show I'm catching up to you. I'm one pick back. 8-12, 9-11. You have the lead, but I have the honors, and we're going to talk about the pick that I just made, the Wild -1.5 at +120. I'm getting positive value, and the analytics just say the Wild at home, they win 2 of their 3 against the spread. So taking them when they've got recent success against the Coyotes, winning 4-0 and 4-1, I'm going to take them to do it again.
Fair enough, Higgins. Like I said, I don't know enough, but I think you've laid out clear reasons why you're taking the Wild, and I think they make a lot of sense. I'm gonna personally take the Hawks -7.5 for my Levy lock. I know you're on the Rockets for a half unit on the money line, Higgins. So I apologize that I am fading you for my lock, but I just really think the Hawks are clicking right now. The Rockets are a mess right now, Higgins, and I would have taken that definitely up to double digits, probably even a little bit over 10.
There's no need to apologize because when the Rockets do win to prevent being in the record books, not only am I going to get a little bit of the action with my half unit on the money line, I'm also going to potentially tie us up on our pick of the pod Levy locks if I get a win with my Wild. So you place your Hawks bet on the line, sir, and I will try to have my cake and eat it too. We will see how that goes.
Oh man, that was great. Good for you.
Well, like I said, we are going to be running a bracket challenge. Look for that link in our podcast description and on our social media. That is at NBB Pod on Twitter, at Next Best Bet on Instagram, and the Next Best Bet Facebook page and YouTube channel. This has been episode 124 of the Next Best Bet. For Brett, I'm Jake. We'll talk to you again on Thursday.